Hello, welcome to Quriosity. Today we have Mr. Himanshu Sikka, who is the director of SAMRIDH with us. So, Himanshu, thanks for actually kind of agreeing to have a conversation with us and with participating in the Quriosity episode. Tell us more about SAMRIDH.
So SAMRIDH is a blended finance facility which was initiated with USAID support almost 3 years back, just a week before COVID, with a goal to look at healthcare enterprises and address the challenges they face, specifically in getting access to affordable capital, and how that can be made much more easily available to them so that they can scale up their operations. And this demand for this kind of a support came from discussions with Government of India, National Health Authority, because just before the COVID there was a big realization that the health sector overall will be under a lot of pressure, both from the perspective of catering to the increased demand as well as areas like things which we were not equipped for, like to start with PPE kits, later it became an oxygen crisis. So the idea was that how can we look at existing healthcare infrastructure and providers as well as the startup ecosystem in the country and provide them access to affordable capital so that they can scale up their operations quickly and help the country manage the crisis. What it became as we move forward was that we realized that just providing financial assistance was not enough. So it came along with a lot of mentoring support, a lot of support in areas of market access to these entities, as well as providing them business advisory support in terms of taxation advice, legal advice, etc., so that they can kind of get the overall ecosystem support and scale up their operations.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So you have reached almost like 60 innovations has been tested out or been deployed through this initiative. Almost reached 25 million lives and then made some sort of 16 million commitment, US dollars commitment for this. And how do you what is the process of actually picking up and scouting these technologies? Do you also see that from the proof of concept level, or you only look at the go-to-market technologies?
So we have been from the very onset, the idea was to look at the entities which were ready to scale up, so who have kind of proven their
mostly
go-to-market kind of entities, and support them. And what we have done over the last 2.5 years is that forged a number of partnerships with the incubation ecosystem in the country. As you would know that the Government of India has been investing a lot at the incubation and the seed funding level through BIRAC, through Atal Innovation Mission, etc. A lot of funding is being given to early stage companies at the ideation stage to kind of seed their ideas. And once they seed their ideas through the 300 plus incubators in the country and have proven their technologies, got the regulatory clearance and all, that's where we felt that they face more of a challenge in getting access to capital to either set up their manufacturing facility or even working capital requirements. And that's what kind of we try to address through the facility by partnering with various financial institutions, banks and NBFCs.
Yeah, so I'm aware that your engagement with IP Global's engagement with Qure started during the COVID crisis as a solution which is go to market, which can probably help in triaging the COVID cases and then also progression monitoring. And also you have seen a lot of AI innovations and technological outbursts happening during the COVID pandemic. And how do you see that the upcoming challenges in healthcare sector? What is the role of AI and how it could be a kind of accelerator in solving issues like maybe COVID and tuberculosis?
Yeah, I think COVID definitely provided a much needed push to the AI solutions which have been kind of working over the last 4 or 5 years. Many solutions have been coming up in this area, and COVID provided that required push to kind of accelerate their growth. In our portfolio also, besides Qure.ai, there are 4 to 5 other solutions which have used AI machine learning, ranging from areas about screening like Qure.ai to even full diagnosis as well as on the treatment side. We definitely see AI playing a much bigger role going forward. I think right now the time is ripe for AI based solutions to kind of prove their might and And where we see them adding the most value is mass screening at affordable prices. Because in a country like India with 1.4 billion, where resources are constrained, not just financially but in terms of human resources as well, you don't have enough doctors, you don't have enough radiologists, paramedical staff, etc. Any solution which can kind of reduce the dependence and fast track the process at affordable prices is something the country needs overall. And the AI solutions like Qure.ai and others that we work with can kind of solves that problem because you are able to reach to geographies where you have the most marginalized people not getting access to any kind of healthcare. You are able to screen them at affordable prices with somebody sitting maybe in any part of India looking at their reports and kind of remotely advising them on that, where the first level of screening has been done using an AI algorithm.
Thanks, Himanshu. You mentioned about the major focus of SAMRIDH is on affordability, on impacting vulnerable population and also high impact solutions. And in your battery of solutions which you are scouting and then in making the investment decisions, what proportion of that is proof of concept and what proportion is go to market?
So in our case, majority of the solutions are the ones go to market. While we have supported very few which are proof of concept, and there also these solutions have been something where they've got the regulatory clearances and they kind of lack the go-to-market strategy, or they don't know the right pricing that they should be having for their products. And that's where around 4 to 5 entities we have supported for the commercial validation support. And the idea there is help them understand the market better, price their businesses better. So we provide them support with test beds, help them do some pilots with their potential customers. A classic case there is where you didn't have any kind of a precedent. Drone-based supply of medical, whether it's pharma products or
samples,
transportation, blood transportation and all. So our drone-based solution, Red Wings, we are supporting to do pilots in Arunachal Pradesh and Odisha, which will help both them as well as government define the right price points for their solutions. Otherwise, majority of our other solutions have been someone who have been in business for a couple of years, have had some sort of revenue flowing in, but needed funding to either expand their manufacturing capacity or needed working capital support to kind of service the increased amount of orders that they got during COVID or otherwise.
Again, the other thing which I noticed that India is a testbed of innovations, and specifically coming back to the tuberculosis conversation, we have actually demonstrated many innovations here. And then I know that IP is a global organization spread across multiple countries, predominantly LMICs. And how are you taking the learnings from India to other countries, specifically in the African geography?
So for IP, when we work outside of India, the focus is always that how can we take the learnings from the Indian market and help the other geographies that we work in either adopting the same technologies or adapting those technologies to their local situation. And if we look at the case of TB, as you rightly said, India itself is a big market for it. Close to 3 million cases are there annually, and there is a huge political commitment towards that, which has led to a lot of innovation happening in the last few years. And what we see is that these innovations, whether it's in AI space or in diagnostic or in kind of treatment space, have a huge kind of match with the requirements in African countries. So we are now kind of actively working with some of the governments in those geographies to see how more learning can happen across borders, and not just for TB but other ways as well, and how what India has achieved in the last 2-3 years in the space of TB can be replicated in those countries as well.
Thank you for that. So, do you have any plans for this Qure.ai as a technology to be kind of maybe the learnings could be transferred, or you can probably think about a blended investments in other countries to actually demonstrate a value addition, because there might be countries which are probably in the early stages of technology adoption, But any plans in the pipeline or any thought process in that line?
Right. So as part of the SAMRIDH and the PEHL, the larger program itself, over the last year, we have been working on the cross-border technology transfer side, specifically with East Africa market. And we initially took some supply chain solutions to those geographies to understand the challenges that are there in replicating those models in those geographies. And what we realized was that access to capital is a bigger challenge there.
Yeah.
So while when some of the SAMRIDH entrepreneurs on the supply chain side found a lot of traction for their solutions in East Africa, and there were a lot of interest shown by local entrepreneurs to partner to either manage their distribution network or set up local manufacturing facilities. What was lacking was the availability of capital to do that. Taking cue from that, we are now in process of setting up or working towards a SAMRIDH-like facility in East Africa, which will not just help the local entrepreneurs but also enable cross-border transmission of technology and partnerships from India to East Africa. And there again, we are also been in touch with the Indian High Commission as well as the MEA to see how financial support available from Government of India lines of credit, specifically through the Exim Bank, could be made available to the Indian entrepreneurs to expand their operations in East Africa. So I think there that opportunity is huge for organizations like Qure.ai, which want to kind of open up markets in East Africa to partner with the local entities, because for your algorithm to run, first you need the basic infrastructure in form of the X-ray machines, digital X-ray machines being available. So the lines of credit can be used by local entrepreneurs to procure these basic infrastructure, and then Qure.ai could partner with those to kind of scale up your operations in that region.
You did mention about the infrastructure, the lack of proper digital X-ray infrastructure in other geographies. Like, we also had an innovation internally to solve that thing. So just India Health Fund supported us for developing that analog solution, which is that investment we could make an analog solution which works on a mobile application. You can take a analog X-ray picture on a mobile, and then within that mobile it can go to the cloud and get a reading within. It's similar to kind of digitizing the analog X-ray. So that solution is available from our side. The other thing which I also noticed during the COVID, there is a lot of impetus on health system strengthening, and heavy investments are coming in that direction. So a technology like us, the Qure, is probably like we are known for the tuberculosis solutions, and also like the COVID solution, which we started. SAMRIDH investment started on that. We have capabilities of detecting, flagging heart failure, capabilities of detecting early lung nodule with and giving a malignant scoring. So mostly, and also now we are working on silicosis. We do have capabilities of interpreting that, but again, as a disease, silicosis need a little bit more training. So our thought process also is mostly from looking from a comprehensive lung health approach, or like what all we can actually extract from a single image is a thought process. So how do you see that it is aligned with the larger, maybe your investment thought process, or even like broadly from a health system strengthening, how this concept of one image could actually flag multiple diseases and it get into integrated service delivery?
I think the way ahead is in that direction only, that one solution should be able to address many problems. And with a single X-ray scan, if you're able to kind of screen a person for multiple conditions, that brings the costing down automatically.
Correct.
I think what's required right now for kind of AI to go deeper into the health systems is generating more awareness about it. There are a lot of misconceptions around AI and its use. We keep hearing all kind of things about ChatGPT right now. We are hearing just a couple of days back there was thing around music being developed using AI, and a lot of criticism around that. So I think there is a lot of noise around AI. Some of it is valid, but a lot of it requires much wider kind of knowledge kind of dissemination on the benefits it brings, and I think for the health systems also, one has to kind of make both the policymakers as well as the clinicians much more aware about its benefits than just being seen something which may replace their jobs in the near future, which of course it's not going to do, but it's only trying to fill up the gap where there is existing resource constraint. So with that kind of a lens, one has to go, and B, one has to also kind of say that AI is something which is facilitating their or helping them in making a better decision, rather than kind of duplicating what they are doing or kind of removing them from the picture.
Correct.
And also the find that it's something which is highly reliable.
Correct.
It's not something which is working on a guess kind of a system.
Yeah, so you touched upon a critical point. AI as a partner, it's more like a partner and helping the decision making process. So it's not a competitor for a clinical decision making process. It's more of an augmenter, I would say. But we have also seen that when we talk about diseases like cancer or even tuberculosis, missing cases or missed cases are actually a norm within that. We do hear about 4 million missing cases within India, and now that gap is getting kind of closer. Like it's not just a huge wider gap, and then it's a much more closer gap. So one of the reasons, like one of the investments, so what we leverage your investment also to learn something on tertiary settings also, but though it was remote facilities. The classical thought process in a tertiary or a secondary hospital, they do have enough human resource and skill set to capture all the X-ray and read all the X-ray in time. But we also found that 30 to 35% is the Mumbai experience, wherein all X-rays happening in the facility will go through an AI reading that was for tuberculosis, and we found that among the diagnosed 35% is from a non-TB referral pathway. So there is a lot of missing cases happening within our secondary and tertiary health facilities, because one of the reasons is X-ray is not that a high-end tool, because most of the time X-ray is being interpreted by the test ordering physician. So if I am prescribing it, I probably will look up to that with the lens of my suspicion, not from a general suspicion of other diseases. So this is something an emerging learning from a typical use case of AI and X-ray in tuberculosis setting is on remote setting or outreach setting or active case finding. And now we are also looking at this surveillance model. We refer it as surveillance model, and in most of the SAMRIDH facility-based deployment was in a surveillance model setting. So we got a lot of learnings out of it. How are you planning to actually kind of take it? Because this is something which we also, as a TB community beyond Qure, I've been with the TB program for many years. TB community, which is something which is hypothesis, now we are seeing this as an evidence coming out of it, and which is true. How do you see this kind of learning you need to get disseminated for wider adoption? Technology is one part of it, and also like has to be a lot of linkages to care. So once the AI can flag the diseases, but what is the mechanism for two linkages of care is need to be defined and refined. It's more of health system strengthening. So how do you would want to kind of synthesize and distill this learning from a SAMRIDH standpoint? Because this is, I would say, this is probably a collateral, not advantage which we got out of this investment. So how do you want to kind of package this thing? And
so you're right when you say that 30% of the cases came from people who had not come for TB diagnosis, they had come for some other ailment, and that's the beauty of AI, that without spending a lot, you can kind of check if a person is coming for a fracture also, you could potentially in future tell that this is because of ABC reason, but then you are susceptible for other diseases as well. So that I think again needs to be
2016 onwards, a lot of technologies were coming into the tuberculosis space. It started with the WHO emphasizing on case-based notification, so that real-time information about the cases are available. Then came in the new diagnostic technology which have capabilities of real-time notification, or connectivity solutions are attached to it. And now sample collection and transportation, now X-ray AI. How do you, as Himanshu and also as a SAMRIDH director, see TB care has been reimagined, and how far we are actually kind of away or closer to the reimagination?
So I think a lot is happening on the TB side, at least in India, with the Prime Minister himself putting a lot of emphasis on it, and our kind of goal is 2025 as against the global goal of 2030 to eliminate TB from the country. And I think that has been backed by the industry very well by taking a lot of kind of proactive efforts, whether it's technology that you mentioned about, or whether it's kind of emphasizing on the need of TB care, both through the government as well as in the private sector, as well as finding kind of newer solutions and trying to kind of understand that what are the other challenges in the TB space which kind of don't lead to the right kind of outcomes that one is expecting. So under the USAID supported PEHEL program itself, we kind of did a pay for performance instrument around nutrition and TB, for example, where we saw that to have the success rate in TB outcomes, you also need appropriate weight gain in the patients. So that was a fairly successful thing, and which kind of led to also a national level program where the Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan is looking at corporates providing nutrition
adoption
of particular districts and providing nutrition baskets, whether it's the AI that Qure and others are working on, or whether it's the gene experts and the other molecular diagnostics that we are putting up across the country. They can be better transitioned into other focus areas.
So one of the key things about all these technologies, or even be it on the molecular platforms, or even for that matter AI, these are all tweakable into a platform, or this not that this is specific thing, and that is where it is happening. And also one of the thing which you mentioned about the ultra portable X-rays and use of it, and so far we have been dependent upon imported machines, and now that India started, Indian manufacturers also started manufacturing ultra portable X-rays. Any thought process from a SAMRIDH standpoint of supporting hardware plus software into kind of at least demonstrating that how it need to be packaged in a population level screening?
So we are definitely looking at that space, and one of our solutions that we are supporting uses portable X-ray machines and has again AI algorithms, not just for respiratory disease disorders but other areas as well, and uses their algorithms for large scale screening. In the pediatric TB case also, we are bringing portable make in India portable X-ray machines, which cost couple of lakhs rupees as compared to imported devices which were many times that value, to kind of see how they can be adopted in the public health system.
Yeah, as we are seeing the technological capabilities of AI, specifically if you talk about Qure.ai, we know that one image can actually unveil many disease areas, and the current deployment is largely focused on tuberculosis. You are aware about it. There is a little bit of COVID, and now when COVID fizzled out, the focus was largely on tuberculosis. As a technology partner, but we don't have donors or partners to invest in kind of demonstrate such models. Do you have any thought process from a health system investment standpoint? And also many of your investment is actually from that angle, not from a disease focused angle, and mostly primary healthcare delivery. How do you kind of streamline that? These are all your focus, and how do you see that from a SAMRIDH standpoint? What is your thought process on investing in such models of more of health system strengthening?
So there are two ways to look at it, I would say. One part is where the entity is smaller in size and scale, and requires funding for R&D. So they can definitely approach the several Government of India programs that are there to fund such R&D, whether it's through the Department of Science and Technology, BIRAG, or the likes of Atal Innovation Mission, with whom we partner with. And but these grants are small in size. They would be typically anywhere from close to $100,000 kind of ticket size for 1 or 2 years of kind of support, which in kind of AI machine learning kind of space may not be enough to do kind of large kind of research based algorithm development. So in those kind of things, I think the way out is either to kind of identify the problem statement and develop a research proposal around that. And there are funders who are available to kind of come up with large ticket side funding as well. Whether SAMRIDH can do that or not, unfortunately not right now, because that's not our mandate to fund research or do funding for R&D. So that's where we can come. We cannot fund the full R&D cost, but we can help the entity raising capital in any form.
One question was actually existing solutions within an AI platform, and one is like how do we kind of make it much more competent, the solution for other diseases,
Right.
I mean, which is not there, which certainly need a R&D and research investment and research hypothesis for that matter. But given the current capabilities also, as we discussed earlier also, like it has actually at least 3 diseases now we could flag, and that you saying, so what we are struggling as an entity is that we don't have investment models to kind of, okay, you have 3 diseases in the package, like do 3 together. So that's something which we are struggling. So probably, I mean, I would see SAMRIDH as a platform, not from an investment standpoint necessarily, but probably a conversation with the government and say, hey, that we have invested in tuberculosis and probably these have more capabilities other than that. From a partnership standpoint, not from an investment standpoint, but broadly from a partnership.
So from that perspective, I think we are always open to kind of support.
So we are now in 2023, and when starting from 2018 onwards, there is a lot of acceleration happening in the tuberculosis control program. I would also want 2018 PM Prime Minister of India made an announcement of 2025, thinking that there are a lot of innovations in the pipeline, including vaccines are coming. So now we at least hear about vaccines. I am, as a TB survivor also, I always try to reimagine the TB control from a standpoint of like as a sufferer. I mean, I've gone through that disease, and also now in the helm of affairs of the TB control program. So I would say maybe by end of this year, I need a cuff application to be screened to mass screening, and then that escalate to an X-ray with an AI capability, and that flags whether I am diseased or not. I mean, is there any abnormality in X-ray, and then it goes to a molecular diagnosis which is real time.
Right.
And if I am negative for that, I have a skin test to detect with, again, an AI will be reading that skin test and say you are infected, not disease, you are infected, and there is a drug to pop me up, maybe a 1-week therapy.
See, whether it's end of 2023, I'm not sure what all we will be able to achieve, but a lot is being done in that direction, I must say. The political will is there, and both the Prime Minister and the health sector leadership in the country, whether it's the political leadership or the bureaucratic leadership, is looking at this area very, very closely. I have not seen the number of monitoring kind of meetings that happen around TB happening in any other area. Probably COVID was an exception where there were weekly monitoring meetings happening, but TB is something which is getting a lot of impetus from the government at least. So probably not 23 end, but 24 or 25 will see much more progress towards that, and we would be in a much more technological driven healthcare service delivery in the country.
So, I mean, I understand SAMRIDH is a blended financing mechanism, and who are the key stakeholders and key investors in this?
Yeah. So SAMRIDH, as it has evolved as a partnership of multiple stakeholders coming from different kind of groups of or stakeholder groups. And one of the key groups there has been the institutional donors, and we are very much thankful to USAID for kind of being the lead partner in the SAMRIDH journey and supporting it from the very beginning, conceptualization, as well as in terms of the funding support. But then with them also came other donors like the Rockefeller Foundation, Morpho Foundation, Ford Foundation, and many of the domestic philanthropies and CSR groups. So that's been one group of stakeholders. The second big stakeholder has been the Government of India, from the National Health Authority to Niti Aayog to Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. All have played very active roles at different points in the journey of SAMRIDH, and so has the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor, Government of India.
When USAID investment also happens, they also bring in a lot of wealth of knowledge in the disease domain, as well as also a host of partners who has been working. Do you also experience that in the SAMRIDH?
Yeah, so that has been again a key contribution from USAID side, that not only that they were supporting the SAMRIDH platform during COVID, huge amount of funding came in other areas as well, and all these the kind of different partners that were working in this space came together to kind of work with the Government of India.
I mean, another key area which I was also thinking, like, given that USAID is one of the key stakeholder in Global Fund, which is a scale-up mechanism, not only in India, globally also, and they also make local partnerships with bilateral partnership with countries. So that also helped the learnings from India and also the SAMRIDH learning to be taken to other parts, which we are also seeing right now. Like we are witnessing that in Kenya, there's the recent SAMRIDH conference. Are you also foreseeing that kind of partnership forging in other places?
So definitely we are talking to other mechanisms of which are supported by USAID globally, including the Global Fund and PEPFAR, to see how blended finance could be used in those spaces and where their investments are going to kind of multiply the impact on ground.
Well, thanks Himanshu for having us part of this SAMRIDH partnerships and also helping, I mean, as a startup in India to demonstrate the value of AI and in a scaled up manner, and also demonstrating different use cases like a surveillance model in a tertiary settings. We are thankful to USAID and thankful to SAMRIDH platform for giving us this opportunity to be partner with this entire entity, and we are also eager to be subsequent partnership for taking it further beyond India. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks a lot, and it's been our pleasure working with Qure.ai, and we hope this partnership will continue, and all the best for all your future endeavors.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.